Hi, my name is Mark Hayward. This is the Absolute Business Mindset podcast. Here are some of my thoughts, ideas, and comments. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a corporate employee with an entrepreneurial mindset. So I just want to talk to you today about delegation. Now, whether all of you guys are at that point where you're actually delegating or not, is actually worthwhile listening to and thinking about, because those skills you need to develop and need to be able to develop quite quickly, whether you're in a business or in a corporate career or any sort of career that you've got. So I think you need to be careful on who you delegate to. You need to be able to get the right people in the right places. I had an experience where I delegated to somebody and they basically they weren't as bothered about it as I was, and therefore mistakes occurred. And some people saw tasks that I was delegating as a chore rather than something that could progress their career. Some of the problem is that the process work that needs to be done needs to be done by more junior than yourself, and therefore usually those tasks get passed on to the junior. But it depends on what their attitude is like and what they see value in. It means that recently I've been needing to delegate. And part of the style of being able to delegate is being able to talk clearly about things, but also it's about stretching my coaching skills. So I've thought about how the best way for me to be able to teach someone something and how to develop those skills that once they're on their own, they know what they need to do without any problems. So there's different types of ways of doing it. There's the repetition, that you just go over the idea on multiple times. There's actually going through the actual process with that person, sitting with that person, letting them do it, letting them write notes, and reviewing those notes. Sometimes I've in some cases where I've delegated, I've needed to write the notes because I wanted them to be 100% accurate. So, and then sometimes you need to let that person do it, and then the final review before you press go, you have a review. I think I've started to think that you need to let people do it repeated a number of times, because that then goes into their long-term memory rather than just storing in their short-term memory. So I've really worked out what the best way for most people is. So basically there are different ways of implementing skills into people's brains, and you need to be flexible, because as I said, some people will write things down, some people just memorize them, some people need to go through them a couple of times. So I think that's the art of delegation, is being able to work out what the best way for that person is to be able to do it. So it's incredibly important to understand their learning. So that's meaning to get to know them a little bit. Sometimes it is age, sometimes it's experience, sometimes it's other things that impact the way that person learns. I've started to be involved, work with millennials, and they definitely work on a laptop, where I'm a little bit more old school. I like a pen and paper, even though I do things on the laptop, but essentially the pen and paper is still a valuable tool for me, because the actual process of writing it out is very strong and very powerful to me. But equally, as I said, some people write notes on their laptop, some people try and memorize it. I would say the best way of doing it is to actually have notes that are taken, whether they are, as I said, compromises are I write the notes out, the step-by-step guide, and that person then will have that forever. But you still have to go through the process. You can't just leave these people just on their own. So I think it takes you a number of times of going through the same thing. I would hope it wouldn't be as much as 4 or 5 times. I've written on my notes that it might take people 4 or 5 times to actually learn to do it, but I would hope that one session of talking them through the steps, Then either them writing notes or me writing notes. So that's a sort of 1.5 in between 1 and 2 attempts. And then I'd want to show them a second time. And then I'd probably want them to do the third time and for me to review. And then I'm thinking after that, there really shouldn't be that much. Really shouldn't be that much that's needed after that. The issue with delegation also is can you let somebody else do something that you're doing now, because you think you're the only person that can do it, and you're the only person who can do it well. This is folly. That this is not the case. You are not perfect, and even if you have been doing something for a long time, it's a different skill set to be able to teach someone how to do something. So I think the whole idea of delegation is very powerful, very strong. If you're going to scale any sort of business, you can't be the only person who can do everything. So it's incredibly important that you're able to share those skills around with people and trust people. I had an experience where I trusted someone to do something and basically they messed it up. That is incredibly painful learning curve for me. And I think you need to just work out who the right people are, because you've got to employ quality people who are able to deliver what you want them to deliver. So it's important that you're able to work with these people. You're able to. The other thing is you've got to be open for people to ask questions as well. There's no point in being a closed-minded person and just say, "Well, I've given you everything. Just get on with it." It's important that you're open to have questions asked. So, so incredibly important for everyone who is delegating to be open for questions. So I'm going to stop there because I think you can go over this 100 million times, but essentially learn how to understand how that person learns and the way they need to be taught. And you also need to let people to be delegated. You need to be able to give things to other people. It's incredibly important for your business to scale up. And equally, you also have to trust them a little bit. If they are going to make mistakes, they'll hopefully make them while you're reviewing them. And the last thing I would say is that you have to employ quality people to be able to do these things for you, because these are critically important for your business. So you do need to let people get going and trust them a bit as well. Okay, Mark Hayward, you can check me out on Twitter on Mark Hayward 169. Also, I would love you if you could give me a review on iTunes. It would be fantastic of the podcast if you've liked it. Please subscribe to the podcast. It'd be great if you could subscribe to it every week. I am producing content on a Sunday and Thursday regularly, so you should be able to get updates on whatever platform you watch it or listen to it on. So it's iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. So please check that out. Also, my Facebook group, Absolute Business Mindset, I'm going to try and release these podcasts to that place as well. But so we'll hopefully have that up soon. And if you have enjoyed the podcast, please can you tell someone about it? Tell a friend, tell a colleague, tell a family member, tell them about it and tell them they should be subscribing to this and listening to the podcast. That would be fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Cheers. Bye.